Stop feeling proud of the smartphone in your hand right now as if it were the absolute peak of our species' intelligence. According to the historical logic we learned in school, technological progress follows a slow upward graph, from stone, bronze, and iron to steam engines and finally the internet. We hold the belief that ancient people could only make pottery or fight with swords. However, Synoptic must tell you one thing. In the world's museum warehouses, there are objects that technically should not exist. These objects are called OOPArts, or out-of-place artifacts. They are artifacts found in soil layers or historical eras that do not sync with the technological level of that time. It's like finding an iPhone inside a pharaoh's tomb or discovering a PS2 memory card within a dinosaur fossil. These artifacts are bugs in the mainstream historical narrative that leave scientists scratching their heads to this day. Today, we will dissect 9 artifacts that leapt through time. We will see how past logical systems were actually running future software in secret. Preparing your detective logic, let's break them down one by one. The Antikythera Mechanism, the first analog computer protocol. We start with the iPad version of 150 BC. The Antikythera Mechanism, discovered in a Greek shipwreck, is a highly complex stack of bronze gears. For decades, people simply thought it was an ordinary clock, but after an X-ray, our logic exploded. This is the world's first analog computer. Its function? To predict planetary positions, solar eclipses, and even Olympic cycles with incredible precision. From an engineering logic, gears at this level should have only been invented 1500 years later during the Renaissance. Your POV now, you see a rusted object from the seabed that turned out to have mechanical coding capabilities more advanced than all the technology possessed by the great emperors of that time. Antikythera is proof that our knowledge system once underwent a mass reset that made us forget how to make something this cool. The Baghdad Battery, the pre-grid electricity protocol. The second step is the Baghdad Battery, discovered in our rock. This artifact consists of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. From an electrochemical logic, if you put orange juice or vinegar inside it, this jar would generate an electric voltage of about 1.1 volts. Why is this leaping through time? Because this object dates back to 250 BC. Alessandro Volta only invented the battery in the 1800s. Your POV, you imagine what ancient people used this battery for. Scientists suspect it was used for electroplating or coating metals with gold. Imagine, 2,000 years ago, they already understood how to move atoms using electricity. The Baghdad Battery dictates our logic that the electric age may have started long before Thomas Edison's first lamp flickered. The Piri Reis Map, the satellite protocol without satellites. In 1513, a Turkish admiral named Piri Reis created a world map on gazelle skin. What puts this map into the unthinkable realities category is its accuracy regarding the South American coastline and, the craziest part, the northern coast of Antarctica, Queen Maud Land, without its ice layer. The logic is Antarctica was officially only discovered in 1820, and it has been covered in ice for millions of years. How did Piri Reis know the shape of its coastline beneath the ice in such great detail? Your POV, you see an ancient map more accurate than the Google Maps of the past, and you realize that Piri Reis might have had access to an ancient map source code from a much older civilization that mapped the Earth when the poles weren't yet frozen. This map is a geographical glitch that baffles the history of cartography. The Iron Pillar of Delhi, the eternal anti-rust protocol. In India, there is a 7-meter-tall iron pillar that has stood tall for 1,600 years in the open air. Strangely, this pillar has not rusted at all. From a modern metallurgical logic, iron left in India's humid air should have crumbled into dust within decades. The logic is the mesowhite layer, a protective layer formed due to a very high phosphorus composition in the iron. Your POV, you touch an iron pillar from the 4th century whose quality surpasses your house fence that was just installed last year but is already rusted. The Delhi pillar dictates our logic that ancient blacksmiths in India had a secret hardware recipe for metal that even the modern steel industry still looks at with envy. The Nimrud Lens, the Assyrian optical protocol. Discovered in the Palace of Nimrud, Iraq, this is an oval-shaped piece of rock crystal that functions as a magnifying lens. It dates back to 750 BC. The optical logic is magnification. Many scientists suspect this lens was used by the Assyrians to observe stars or as part of an ancient telescope. Your POV, you see a piece of stone that can make small writing large, and you realize that our ancestors didn't just look at the sky with their naked eye. The Nimrud lens is the first optical firmware proving that humans have been trying to break through their biological vision limits for thousands of years. The Nazca Lines, the aerial perspective protocol. In the desert of Peru, there are thousands of lines forming giant images of animals. The problem is, these images can only be seen in their full form if you fly at an altitude of 500 meters. The Nazca people made them 2,000 years ago. The logic is grand-scale perspective. Why would they make images that they themselves couldn't see from the ground? Was it to be seen by the gods, or did they have a way to fly? Ancient hot air balloons. Your POV, you stand in the middle of those lines and see nothing but unclear trenches, but as soon as you board an airplane, you see a giant monkey. The Nazca Lines are proof that our past civilizations had a visual logic whose scale far exceeded their terrestrial limits. The Quimbaya Planes, the Golden Aerodynamics Protocol. In Colombia, gold miniatures shaped like animals were discovered, made by the Quimbaya culture around 1000 AD, but if you look at their wings and tails, they don't look like birds or insects. They look exactly like fighter jets. Scientists once built a large-scale model of this gold design and attached an engine, and the result? The object could fly stably because it possessed correct aerodynamic principles. Your POV, you see a 1,000-year-old gold ornament and realize its shape is more like an F-15 than a hummingbird. Is this just a coincidence, or had they seen something flying in the Colombian sky back then? Klerksdorp Spheres, the billion-year geometry protocol. In South Africa, miners often find small metal spheres, pyrophyllite, with parallel grooves around them. What gives you chills is that the rock layer where these spheres were found is 3 billion years old. The logic is a geological anomaly or a pre-civilization. Although science calls this a natural process, its highly symmetrical shape and neat grooves make our logic wonder, was there another party that dropped these metal marbles when Earth was still a primordial soup? Your POV, you hold an object that looks machine-made, but it is older than all of multicellular living things on Earth. This object is the most extreme time bug. The London Hammer, the iron and stone protocol. In 1936 in Texas, a couple found an iron hammer embedded inside a chunk of limestone. The problem is that limestone dates back to the Cretaceous period, about 140 million years ago. The logic is a timeline error. The iron's iron is 96% pure, a quality only achievable with modern smelting technology. But how did it get inside a rock formed millions of years before humans existed? The London Hammer is a sovereign artifact that challenges our entire history textbooks. So, what is the common thread of these 9 artifacts that leapt through time? Logically, the history of human technology may not move in a straight line, but in cycles. We are often trapped in the bias that we're the most advanced, but these artifacts show that the Antikythera Mechanism and Baghdad Battery prove the existence of a lost high-tech peak. The Piri Reis Map and Nazca Lines show a global perspective ahead of its time. The Delhi Pillar and London Hammer show material mastery that surpassed their era. These artifacts are Easter eggs left by history to remind us not to be arrogant. Perhaps human civilization has reached peak points multiple times, then experienced a total collapse, as we discussed in the Power Play segment, and had to start from zero again. We are not inventing new technology, we might just be remembering what we already mastered thousands of years ago. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like how we explain complex things to make them make more sense, don't forget to follow Synoptic. We will continue to discuss many everyday things that are actually fascinating, as long as they're explained the right way. Synoptic, the world simplified, one thought at a time.